I thought nobody was going to watch that video yesterday because of the one I did. The video I did regarding DeFi, anatomy of a DeFi contract. So I was like, okay, I'll try this API one and see if they like it. But people kind of came around. So we're going to go a little bit deeper in that right after this. Hello to my dozen awesome people. My name is Potter. I am a jack of all trades. I have been an admin, a coder, a bunch of other stuff, but ultimately I'm currently operating like a full stack dev, and I've written one app and sold it, so not bad. And a different group of people based on that want me to build something else. So you have that, right? So what I wanted to do is talk to you about AI and working with it, and how it took 4 days of going back and forth, because you'll hear a lot of people say, if you're going to use AI, go in at the level you think you are. If you're going to try to learn, go in the level that you think you are. But I tend to do that because I'm comfortable with my coding skills and then go big quicker. So you can't just necessarily go, okay, I'm going to learn my skills on the piano and then, get better from there. It depends on who you are. So for me, what worked was working with AI as a junior dev because it's not smart enough to be a full stack dev. I thought it was the first time I got there. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to program forever, do this, do that. And it just never told the truth. So when I was working on this API, which as a dev, I'm not used to APIs. I'm used to databases, Sybase, SQL, Microsoft SQL database. I'm used to calling from a database, taking that data and then arranging it on the page. So it was different understanding what an API was, because I'm so used to already having something that's already got a server running and is ready to feed you information from an API call, which is blocks of data that have specific titles in it. It's a relational database schema that is just not there in API. On top of that, an API engine has to serve up. It has to say, hey, if you want to get all the weather, here it is. Now, imagine bad guys on the internet and them just saying, oh, there's something free that I can, practice my coding, my hacking skills on, if you will. Oh, sure, that's dumb. I'll just keep pinging that, denial of service it or DDoS it. And so that happened pretty quick. So now what they've done is they've developed the ability to, say, we need you to register to make sure at least that you're kind of real. And then we will provide you with a key in your files. Put that key and then we'll let you talk to this API. Some level of security. It still gets abused. Well, what I was working with the WeatherKit was there is an app called Dark Sky that everybody loved. Apple bought it, incorporated it into their weather, but they sunset the API component. At least just calling it, you couldn't do that anymore. So I was following a tutorial that, just working with different APIs, so I'm understanding the fundamentals because I'm getting back on the horse. And they took away the ability for you to just call it. You have to do a whole bunch of other stuff. So let me bring some of this stuff up so I can just, they have stuff in here. I had to delete some stuff because I had sensitive information in there. It's just dev, so anything that you do see, I'm gonna blow away. So if you're watching this later, it won't be there. So a lot of it kind of comes into here. That's my computer name. So because, and why is it saying that? Because in this instance of running the API key, I was the server. So that's why you have Express and you're using Axios FS. It gets real deep. But my point was that not only did I have to work with a new service when I didn't really understand the way API architecture works, I then had to add a different level onto it where I had to register with Apple. Now let's bring it all back to AI. I had to give all this, I think it's called amorphous data, to AI and say, all right, let's build this. And it just couldn't keep it all together. It was just, it was horrible. And then when it kind of gets it, it loses its mind again. It'll start recommending things. So you can be hardcore working on a solution together with AI. You're like, okay, we're partners. And then it basically goes, who are you? What you need to do is this, you need to go research. It'll put in, this specific information, like I was talking here, this environment information, like your key. And the next thing you know, it'll crank out something that says, put in your project ID. And you're like, you're my junior dev. I just told you to write it. And then you have to remind it to, hey, could you put that in? So at first, who cares? But after hours, days, so now it was horrible. So every time I want to do something different, and this time I did not start it. I should have showed you guys how it works. Sorry. For this one, I would only have it working locally. But I upped the difficulty when I added Firebase to the mix. So after I got it finally working on locally, I was like, yes, okay, I could pull back the weather. I could get anything I wanted. And by the way, it was broke up into two sections. One was your server code. Oops. You have to go to your public directory. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Whatever, dude, seriously. If I make this any smaller, well, maybe I can move. Let me get rid of this again. Let's see. I want to see what you guys can see. So what I did was, I used a Tailwind. It's a cascading or CSS type of formula or architecture that allows for prettier stuff. So I put in a couple of functions, as you can see here. So get weather data is going to call current weather. It's only going to get a little bit of data. And then if you say, I want the daily forecast, it gives you a whole bunch of data. So, it's nothing hard. Of course, you include, where's above the header? Here you go. Here's where you call it. And so let's go back here, server. And it calls to this page, and here's your code. And so when you have your own Express running, you have to combine this to make it listen for it. So after you type either yarn, you would type yarn server auth JS or yarn start, server.js, and you can kind of get it to run. I also use Nodemon to keep it running. So if I made changes, and so by the way, if you're not a dev, you probably are not picking up on this at all. So I'm not always going to be this technical in these shows, but this one, I don't want to pull punches. My expectation is that you kind of understand this. So my very small audience will even get smaller, but I hope if you want to give me feedback on what can make it better in the comments, that's okay. You leaving the show would be great. Okay, that's a little bit too much. So what I did here is I put in specific code, but what you want is for eventually for somebody to put in their own information. But with AI, and guess what? AI is the junior code writer of most of this code. So what's happening now, though, is with this type of Apple architecture, it introduced, I resolved it, at least the first part, but it introduces another level of encryption, because what happens is you have to get a key from Apple, which you store in an environment variable, naturally. But you can install it into one of your env files. There's a bunch of them. Or you can just type it in the command, put it in memory, and it'll just know. But what it does is it takes the data that's requested and then it signs it to prove that you're you before it goes off to actually get the data. So on top of everything else, I'm working with AI that is 2021 for an integration that just happened in 2023. So, I mean, it was just going crazy with trying to figure out, how do I get this to work? And as I stated last week, it just wouldn't work. I just had to stop and say, okay, time to put on your junior developer is not going to get it done. You have to do it yourself. So I just put it on. Many times I was that junior dev that just wasn't going to get it done. So not harshing on API, not harshing on AI for that, because it's just hard. So now I'll tell you where I'm going and then wrap this up. So where we're going now is we're trying to get to porting this from a local system, because after I got it working locally, I was like, I rock. But then I said, okay, let me, come on, AI buddy. We figured it out, kinda. I mean, I figured it out. No, not really. We both figured it out. But now let's move it to Firebase. So let me get this right, Potter. You want to move a 2023 implementation of an API that you've run locally, which is okay. I mean, that's Apple to Microsoft. Okay. But now you want to take that and put it on a host. Yes. Which host are you going to choose? Firebase. Isn't that Google? Mm-hmm. So you want to put it on Google. So now I'm introducing Apple, Windows, and Google. So, and on an architecture that went live about a month ago. So I am over 4 days in. I'm well over 4 days on that, but I had to move in the middle. So that's been going on. So I haven't been able to necessarily give it my focus. But I plan on getting through it. There's stuff that you learn when you're doing dev that you just piece together. You just keep getting better and better. And so that is what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to say, all right, this might be a repeat of the local version of this, because AI just cannot get us over the finish line. When we get to a point where we could really probably figure it out, it forgets. And I want to show you some of my chats, but I realized I've got environment information in there. I would be comfortable after everything's done showing you that, because I'm going to get rid of everything and start again. Destroy my keys and do it again, because why would I just do it once and go, I did it? I've got to also break it again. That's one of the hardest things about being a dev. You can get things done, but what happens when it breaks? What happens when you want to add on to it? That's the hard part. So I think this made sense. I felt like if I go into things like this, it would be confusing. But wish me luck. If you have any questions about AI, one of the things I'll give you a pro tip. Sometimes when your conversation is just going like, I can't figure out what you're talking about anymore. I don't know what you're doing. AI, I can't hold on. Like, we've just gone so far apart, which is very frustrating. What you can do is just say, let me go back to where I felt like we kind of broke it off, like where we started to break it off. Like we're not as aligned. We were doing things and all of a sudden, boom, it's just all gone. We're not working as a team anymore. Go back to that comment, rewrite a comment that maybe you could have said better, and just start again. Like, who cares if it's like hours? Also, if you're using ChatGPT 4 and it tells you, okay, you're done, you gotta wait 2 hours, good. You need the 2 hours because your mind will change and you'll do things better. It just works out. Remember, with programming, it's about stepping through things, not being like, I'm the great accomplisher. You have to be patient, and that patience will pay off, but it's going to take some patience because you're going to fail a lot. But AI is not the perfect being, but it is a really good one that can get you past hours of stupid coding and troubleshooting, because no matter how junior of a developer it is a senior developer when it comes to syntax, and syntax can sometimes take as much time as troubleshooting. So, I said that really well, so I think I should end it. Call and Mitch, let me know if you like it. And again, thanks. We went over 100 subscribers. I don't know what you people are doing. We say, you don't have to like, subscribe, or follow, so that must mean you like us. But thank you too. And Colin Mitchell, let me know if you guys want me to talk about something else. I'm probably not going to go back into the API unless I have some UI to show you with it. Like, I want to show you code and show you some UI for this. So I'm going to take you through another code review. Okay, even my phone loves that. All right, guys, remember, game on.